Welcome, curious minds, to the deep dive. Today, we're embarking on an incredible journey into the heart of what makes animals, well, animals. Sometimes you see something in nature and just marvel at it, like the desert ant with its incredibly long, stilt-like legs.
Oh yeah, those are amazing.
They're not just for show, right? They're an adaptation that elevates its body from the scorching sand, keeping it cooler
Significantly cooler, yeah.
and allowing it to sprint incredibly fast to minimize sun exposure. It's a perfect example of form meeting function. Okay, let's unpack this. Our mission today is to explore your sources on animal form and function and piece together a cohesive narrative.
It's all good.
We're going to dive into how an animal's anatomy is perfectly correlated with its physiology and why this evolutionary dance between structure and purpose is absolutely foundational to understanding all of modern biology.
It really is.
Think of it as understanding the incredible engineering that allows life to thrive.
Indeed. And we'll be connecting the microscopic details, like how a single neuron fires, to macroscopic outcomes, such as how an entire organism adapts to its environment or maintains its internal balance.
Right.
This deep dive will reveal the elegant solutions evolution has crafted for everything from surviving desert heat to fighting off pathogens. It's quite the story.
We begin with a fundamental principle. Form and function are deeply intertwined. That desert ant's legs aren't an accident. They're a direct result of natural selection favoring variations that enhance survival.
Exactly. It's evolution in action.
And from that tiny ant to you and me, animal bodies are organized in a hierarchy. Cells form tissues, tissues form organs, and organs work together in organ systems.
Exactly. And these systems rely on just four basic tissue types. Epithelial tissue, which covers surfaces and forms protective barriers, like the lining of your intestines.
Yep.
Connective tissue, which binds and supports, ranging from the blood that transports nutrients to the bone that provides structural support. Muscle tissue, which is the engine of all movement. And nervous tissue, the body's superhighway for transmitting information.
Just four basic types.
Just four. What's truly remarkable is how these distinct tissues then build incredible organs and complex systems, all working in concert.
And these systems, like your digestive system, circulatory system, or immune system, don't work in isolation, right? They coordinate constantly. Think of it like a symphony.
That's a great analogy.
This coordination often happens through the body's two great control centers. The nervous system, which acts via rapid, specific nerve impulses, like a direct text message to a precise location.
Very fast.
And the endocrine system, which relies on hormones, broadcasting slower but widespread messages through the bloodstream to many target cells.
Right. More like a radio broadcast hitting many receivers simultaneously.
Okay.
And this isn't just a one or the other scenario. Often, these two systems work in close coordination, a process we call neuroendocrine signaling. Consider the hypothalamus and pituitary gland. The posterior pituitary, for instance, stores and secretes hormones like oxytocin, crucial for milk release during nursing.
Right.
This is a powerful example of a positive feedback loop, where the response itself amplifies the original stimulus. More suckling, more oxytocin, more milk.
What's really fascinating here is how one hormone can have incredibly different effects depending on where it lands.
Oh, absolutely.
Take epinephrine, our classic fight-or-flight hormone. It can tell a liver cell to increase blood glucose for energy.
Right, fuel up.
But tell a blood vessel and skeletal muscle to relax and widen, or blood vessels in the intestines to constrict.
Diverting resources where they're needed most.
Exactly. The outcome depends entirely on the type of receptor and the internal signaling pathway present in that particular target cell. It's a testament to the system's specificity and efficiency.
Incredibly precise, really.
All this internal activity needs constant management, and that brings us to the bedrock concept of homeostasis, the maintenance of a relatively constant internal environment despite external fluctuations.
Keeping things steady inside.
Yeah, it's not about hitting a precise set point, but staying within a normal, healthy range. Animals can be regulators, using internal mechanisms to control internal change, like a river otter maintaining its body temperature in cold water.
Right, they fight the change.
Or they can be conformers, allowing their internal condition to change with the external environment, much like a Florida red-bellied turtle basking in the sun.
They just go with the flow, environmentally speaking.
Exactly.
Thermoregulation, the process of maintaining body temperature, is a prime example of this balance. Endotherms, like king penguins, generate most of their heat internally through metabolism.
Warm-blooded.
Basically, yes, allowing them to maintain a stable, warm temperature, even in icy conditions. Ectotherms, Those turtles you mentioned gain most of their heat from external sources and often use behavioral adaptations, like moving into or out of the sun.
Simple but effective.
Very. Animals have a toolkit of adaptations: insulation like hair or blubber, circulatory adjustments like widening or narrowing blood vessels near the skin.
Vasodilation, vasoconstriction.
Precisely. And even the incredibly clever countercurrent exchange system that efficiently transfers heat between fluids flowing in opposite directions, like in a bird's legs, for instance.
Yeah.
Your own brain, specifically the hypothalamus, acts as the body's thermostat, and even a fever is an example of it temporarily adjusting that set point to fight infection.
So a fever isn't just a symptom, it's a strategy.
It's an adaptive response, yeah.
And maintaining this internal balance extends to water and solutes through osmoregulation and excretion.
Absolutely critical.
Water moves by osmosis, and cells are incredibly sensitive to its balance. Too much, they swell. Too little, they shrivel.
It's a delicate balance. And animals also need to excrete nitrogenous waste, which differ in their toxicity, the energy cost to produce them, and the amount of water lost during their excretion.
So different kinds of waste.
Yeah, think ammonia, urea, uric acid. Each has pros and cons depending on the animal's environment and physiology. Think of it as a waste management system that handles different types of garbage, requiring different disposal methods.
Okay.
The mammalian kidney is a true marvel of this system. It acts as nature's ultimate water recycling plant, packed with millions of tiny filtering units called nephrons.
Millions.
Millions. It uses a sophisticated countercurrent system to reclaim precious water, producing urine that can be up to 4 times more concentrated than blood. This allows for incredible water conservation.
That's essential for land animals.
Absolutely. For a real-world example, consider the vampire bat.
Okay.
Its kidneys rapidly switch between producing large volumes of dilute urine when it's drinking blood, or small volumes of highly concentrated urine later on to conserve water. It shows extreme versatility.
Incredible.
Hormones such as antidiuretic hormone, or ADH, precisely regulate this kidney function, helping to control blood osmolarity, volume, and pressure, tying these systems together for survival.
So we've built the house and installed the climate control. Now, how do we keep the lights on and the engine running?
Fuel.
It all starts with what we eat. An animal's diet has to supply the chemical energy for cellular processes, the organic building blocks for growth and repair, and essential nutrients like certain amino acids, fatty acids, vitamins, and minerals that the animal simply cannot make itself.
Right, things you have to get from your diet. This raises an important question. Why do some herbivores, like the juvenile chamois, lick salts from rocks?
I've wondered about that.
It's because their plant-based diet, while providing energy, often lacks sufficient amounts of essential minerals like sodium, calcium, phosphorus, and iron.
Ah, so they're supplementing.
Exactly. It's a clear demonstration of how specific environmental conditions dictate precise nutritional needs.
Okay, makes sense. Once food is acquired, it undergoes 4 stages of processing. First, there's ingestion, the act of eating, which varies wildly, from blue whales filtering tiny particles,
Suspension feeding.
to humans eating large meals, bulk feeding. Next is digestion, where mechanical breakdown, like chewing, combines with chemical hydrolysis by enzymes to break large food molecules into absorbable small ones, typically within a one-way alimentary canal.
Getting those big molecules down to usable size.
Then comes absorption, the uptake of those small molecules into body cells. Finally, elimination is the passage of undigested material out of the system.
The 4 key steps. Looking closer at our own digestive system, the stomach is a highly elastic organ that can store a surprising amount of food.
Like 2 liters.
Yeah. And it churns it into a liquid suspension called chyme. It secretes gastric juice, containing powerful hydrochloric acid, very acidic, and pepsin for protein digestion, all while being protected by a thick mucus lining.
Amazing it doesn't digest itself.
That mucus is crucial. But the real workhorse is the small intestine, the primary site for most digestion and absorption.
Right.
Its first part receives digestive juices from the pancreas, which neutralizes the acidic chyme, and bile from the liver and gallbladder to emulsify fats. The remaining sections have an enormous surface area due to intricate folds and tiny projections, villi and microvilli.
Maximizing absorption.
Absolutely. The liver then plays a central role. All nutrient-rich blood from the small intestine goes directly to it via the hepatic portal vein. This allows the liver to regulate nutrient distribution and remove toxic substances before they reach the rest of the body. It's like a processing hub.
Animals also show fascinating evolutionary adaptations in their digestive systems. Think about teeth. Their shape perfectly correlates with diet-broad molars for grinding plants in herbivores,
Makes sense.
pointed canines for tearing meat in carnivores. The length of the digestive tract also adapts. Herbivores and omnivores generally have longer alimentary canals than carnivores because plant matter, with its cell walls, is harder to digest.
Makes more time, more surface area.
Exactly. And we can't forget the crucial role of symbiotic microorganisms, especially for herbivores digesting tough cellulose. Our own human gut microbiome contains hundreds of bacterial species,
Trillions of microbes.
profoundly influencing everything from obesity to even mood.
The whole ecosystem in there. Digestion and energy allocation are tightly regulated too. The enteric nervous system, kind of a second brain in the gut and hormones, precisely control digestive secretions.
Okay.
The flow and transformation of energy, or bioenergetics, determines nutritional needs, measured as your basal metabolic rate, or BMR, your baseline energy cost.
Right, just to stay alive.
Exactly. Excess calories are stored as glycogen in the liver and muscles, short-term, and as fat in adipose tissue, long-term. Blood glucose levels are tightly regulated by insulin, which lowers glucose and promotes storage, and glucagon, which raises it both from the pancreas.
That balance is key.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, this homeostatic regulation of blood glucose is precisely what goes wrong in diabetes mellitus, whether it's type 1, where the immune system destroys insulin-producing cells,
Autoimmune, right?
or type 2, where target cells don't respond properly to insulin, often linked to excess weight and lifestyle factors. Appetite itself is also finely tuned by hormones, signaling hunger or satiety to the brain.
Complex regulation. Our bodies are incredibly complex, and simple diffusion isn't enough to get nutrients and gases to every cell, especially in larger animals.
Way too slow over distances.
So how does every cell get what it needs? We need an internal transport system. Large, multicellular animals rely on circulatory systems. All circulatory systems have three basic components: a circulatory fluid, interconnecting vessels, and a muscular pump, the heart.
The basics.
These systems come in two main types: open systems, common in insects and mollusks, where fluid called hemolymph bathes the organs directly in sinuses.
Less efficient, maybe.
Often, yeah. And closed systems, like invertebrates, where blood is confined to vessels, distinct from the interstitial fluid surrounding cells. Vertebrate hearts have atria, which receive blood, and ventricles, which pump it out.
Our system. The mammalian heart is an amazing four-chambered pump, with valves ensuring blood flows in just one direction. The cardiac cycle involves systole, the contraction phase, and diastole, the relaxation phase, producing the familiar lubbed-up heart sounds from those valves closing. The sinoatrial, or SA node, acts as the natural pacemaker, setting the heart's tempo.
The internal rhythm?
Yep, and that tempo can be influenced by the nervous system like epinephrine, increasing heart rate during fight or flight, and body temperature.
Okay, so it's adjustable. Blood vessels are ingeniously designed for their roles. Arteries carry blood away from the heart with thick, elastic walls to handle high pressure.
They need to be tough.
Then we reach the capillaries. What's fascinating here is that blood flows slowest in capillaries, despite their narrow diameter.
Seems counterintuitive, right?
It does, but it's because their total cross-sectional area is enormous. Imagine millions of tiny side streets versus one big highway.
So more total space for flow.
Exactly, which allows ample time for efficient exchange of substances between blood and interstitial fluid across their incredibly thin walls.
Makes sense. Crucial for delivery and pickup.
From there, venules and veins return blood to the heart. They have thinner walls and contain valves to prevent backflow, often aided by skeletal muscle contractions squeezing them.
Helping push blood back uphill, basically.
Right. Blood pressure is highest in arteries and drops significantly by the time it reaches the veins, with vasoconstriction and vasodilation dynamically regulating flow and pressure where needed.
Blood itself is a complex connective tissue consisting of plasma, a liquid matrix with ions and proteins, and cellular elements.
Cells floating in the liquid.
Right. Red blood cells, erythrocytes, are the most abundant. They lack nuclei in mammals, maximizing space for hemoglobin, an iron-containing protein that transports oxygen. Just one red blood cell carries about 1 billion oxygen molecules. White blood cells, leukocytes, are crucial for defense against infection, and platelets are cell fragments essential for blood clotting, which involves a positive feedback loop to quickly seal wounds.
Important stuff.
Very. If we connect this to the bigger picture, cardiovascular disease is the leading cause of death in many parts of the world, and many of our lifestyle choices directly impact our cardiovascular health.
Things like diet and exercise.
Exactly. Atherosclerosis, the hardening of arteries by fatty plaques containing cholesterol, is a major culprit. If these clots rupture, they can trigger clot formation, leading to a heart attack damage to heart muscle from blocked coronary arteries, or a stroke, which is the death of brain tissue due to arterial blockage or rupture.
Serious consequences. Beyond circulation, our bodies need to breathe life in through gas exchange.
Getting oxygen in, carbon dioxide out.
Gases move from areas of higher partial pressure to lower partial pressure. Oxygen is far more abundant in air than in water, making water a much more demanding respiratory medium.
Right, it's harder to extract O2 from water.
Animals have evolved diverse respiratory surfaces to meet this challenge. Aquatic animals use gills, outfoldings of the body surface. Many gills, like those of fish, employ a countercurrent exchange system.
That efficient heat exchange idea again, but for gases.
Exactly. It efficiently extracts a high percentage of oxygen from the water flowing over them. Insects use tracheal systems, a branched network of tubes that deliver oxygen directly to cells, bypassing the circulatory system for gas transport.
A totally different approach.
And then we have lungs, infoldings of the body surface found in vertebrates, which do require a circulatory system to transport gases to and from the tissues.
Our setup. In the mammalian respiratory system, air travels from the nasal cavity through a series of tubes, pharynx, larynx, trachea, bronchi, bronchioles, eventually reaching the alveoli.
Tiny air sacs.
Microscopic air sacs, millions of them, with thin, moist walls and dense capillary beds wrapped around them, making them ideal for gas exchange. Here's where it gets really interesting. These alveoli are coated with a mixture called surfactant.
Surfactant.
Yeah, it's like a detergent. It reduces surface tension, the tendency of the moist surfaces to stick together, and prevents the alveoli from collapsing when you exhale.
So it keeps them open.
Exactly. A deficiency in surfactant causes respiratory distress syndrome in newborns, especially preemies, highlighting its critical role in breathing.
Wow, crucial stuff. The mechanics of breathing are precisely regulated too. Inhalation is an active process. Diaphragm contracts, ribs expand. Exhalation is usually passive, muscles relax.
The rhythm of breathing.
This process is primarily controlled by the medulla in your brainstem, which constantly monitors carbon dioxide levels, actually. The resulting pH changes in your blood and cerebrospinal fluid.
CO2 is the main driver.
Primarily, yes. When CO2 is high, indicating increased metabolism, it signals to increase your breathing rate and depth. Oxygen sensors provide additional input, but mostly kick in when O2 levels get very low.
Interesting.
Gas transport is largely handled by hemoglobin in red blood cells. It not only carries oxygen, but also helps buffer blood pH. It exhibits cooperative binding, meaning binding one oxygen molecule makes it easier for the hemoglobin to bind the next one and the next, helps it load up efficiently in the lungs.
Okay.
And the Bohr shift describes how lower pH, which you find in active tissues producing lots of CO2, causes hemoglobin to release more O2 right where it's needed most.
Delivering the goods effectively.
Precisely, directly fueling cellular respiration. And fascinating adaptations exist, such as in diving mammals like seals who can stockpile oxygen in their blood and muscles and deplete it slowly during long dives.
Incredible physiological feats.
So we've built the animal, fueled it, and given it a circulatory and respiratory system. But what about all the threats out there? How does it protect itself, and how does it ensure the continuation of its species?
Defense and reproduction. Key aspects of life.
This brings us to the incredible immune system and the processes of reproduction and development. Our first line of defense is innate immunity, sometimes called the first line of defense.
Built-in protection.
It's present in all animals, providing rapid, non-specific protection. This includes physical barriers like skin and mucous membranes, as well as internal defenses like phagocytic cells, macrophages, neutrophils that engulf pathogens, and the inflammatory response, which causes redness, heat, swelling, and pain at the site of infection, and can even trigger a systemic fever to fight infection more broadly.
A general alarm system.
Right.
In contrast, adaptive immunity, found only in vertebrates, provides slower but highly specific and long-lasting protection. It relies on lymphocytes, B cells and T cells, each with unique antigen receptors designed to recognize specific invaders.
Targeted defense.
Exactly. The sheer diversity of these receptors is amazing, created by a clever genetic recombination process during lymphocyte development. If we connect this to the bigger picture, this genetic shuffling is key to adaptive immunity's ability to recognize a vast array of specific pathogens it has never encountered before.
Ready for almost anything.
Pretty much. When a lymphocyte encounters its specific antigen, It gets activated and proliferates clonal selection, creating a clone of effector cells that fight the current infection and long-lived memory cells.
Memory cells.
Yes. This immunological memory means a primary response to a new pathogen is slower, but a subsequent exposure triggers a much faster, stronger secondary immune response, which is the very basis for vaccination.
Ah, so vaccines train the memory cells.
Precisely. They introduce a harmless form or piece of the pathogen, so your body builds memory without getting sick. The real-world applications and challenges of immunity are profound. Vaccination, for example, induces this active immunity, providing long-term protection against diseases like measles.
Still vital.
Absolutely. Passive immunity gives short-term protection through the transfer of antibodies, such as antivenin for snake bites or antibodies from mother to baby. On the flip side, we have allergies, which are exaggerated immune responses to harmless allergens.
Hay fever, peanut allergies.
Right. And autoimmune diseases, where the immune system mistakenly attacks the body's own tissues, like in rheumatoid arthritis or type 1 diabetes. Pathogens also constantly evolve evasion strategies, like the flu virus, changing its surface proteins, posing continuous challenges.
An ongoing arms race.
There really is. And tragically, HIV, the human immunodeficiency virus, infects helper T cells, which are crucial coordinators of the adaptive response. This cripples both humoral, B-cell antibody, and cell-mediated T-cell immunity, leading to acquired immune deficiency syndrome, or AIDS, making individuals vulnerable to opportunistic infections and cancers.
Devastating impact. After all that defense, we move to ensuring the next generation reproduction. Asexual reproduction involves new individuals arising without gamete fusion, common in invertebrates through budding or fission.
Simpler, faster, perhaps.
But it produces clones. Sexual reproduction, on the other hand, involves the fusion of gamete sperm and egg, producing genetically varied offspring. So, what does this all mean? Despite the twofold cost of sex, meaning only half your offspring, females typically, can reproduce directly, sexual reproduction persists.
Why?
Because genetic variation provides a crucial evolutionary advantage in changing environments or against evolving pathogens. Variety is the spice of life, evolutionarily speaking.
Makes sense. Indeed, reproductive strategies are incredibly diverse. Hermaphroditism, where an animal possesses both male and female organs, is common in sessile animals like barnacles that might not easily find a mate.
Convenient.
Fertilization can be external, common in aquatic environments where gametes meet outside the body, or internal, which is a key adaptation for life on land, protecting gametes from desiccation and predation. And parental care, in its many forms, significantly enhances offspring survival.
Investing in the next generation. In human reproduction, the male and female anatomies are highly specialized for producing and delivering or receiving gametes. Gameogenesis, the formation of gametes, differs too. In males, spermatogenesis is continuous from puberty onwards, producing vast numbers of sperm. In females, oogenesis is discontinuous. Females are born with all their primary oocytes, and typically only one matures into an egg per cycle. Both processes are under precise hormonal control, regulated by the brain, hypothalamus, pituitary, and gonads, testes, ovaries.
A complex hormonal dance.
From a single fertilized cell, the zygote, an entire organism develops through a series of key embryonic stages. Fertilization itself triggers development. Then comes cleavage, rapid cell divisions without growth, forming a hollow ball called a blastula.
Just dividing, not growing yet.
Right. Then gastrulation, a dramatic reorganization where cells move inward to form germ layers, ectoderm, mesoderm, endoderm, that will give rise to all tissues and organs. And finally, organogenesis, the development of rudimentary organs.
The blueprint takes shape. Human gestation is divided into 3 trimesters. The first trimester is critical for organogenesis. The heart is beating by week 4. Major organs are forming. The placenta develops. Childbirth involves strong uterine contractions driven by a positive feedback loop involving the hormone oxytocin.
More contractions, more oxytocin.
Exactly, until birth. And milk production, lactation, is stimulated by hormones like prolactin and oxytocin in response to suckling. And when it comes to controlling reproduction, contraception prevents pregnancy through various means, inhibiting gamete development or release, preventing fertilization, or preventing implantation of an embryo, with methods ranging from abstinence and barrier methods to hormonal contraceptives and IUDs.
Lots of options there. Okay, we've seen how animals build, fuel, defend, and reproduce. But how do they know what's going on, make decisions, and interact with their world?
Sensing, thinking, moving.
That brings us to the incredible nervous system. Its electrical network is built upon neurons, specialized cells for receiving information via dendrites, processing it in the cell body and transmitting it along an axon, supported by various glial cells.
The wiring of the body.
Neurons maintain an electrical resting potential across their membrane, essentially a stored charge due to unequal ion distribution, maintained by the sodium-potassium pump and ion channels.
Ready to fire. Nerve impulses are action potentials, all or none electrical signals. They involve voltage-gated sodium and potassium channels opening and closing in sequence, leading to a rapid rush of sodium ions in depolarization and potassium ions out repolarization.
A wave of electrical change.
Exactly. The intensity of a stimulus isn't encoded by the size of the action potential. They're all the same size. But by the frequency of these action potentials. More intense stimulus, more signals per second.
Okay, frequency coding.
These signals travel rapidly along axons. Myelin sheaths, formed by specialized glial cells, insulate axons like plastic coating on a wire, allowing for much faster saltatory conduction, where signals jump between uninsulated gaps called nodes of Ranvier.
Speeding things up significantly.
Hugely. Information is transmitted between neurons or to other cells at junctions called synapses. Most are chemical synapses, using neurotransmitters like acetylcholine, dopamine, serotonin, GABA, and others.
Chemical messengers.
Right, these neurotransmitters bind to receptors on the next cell, causing small graded electrical potentials, excitatory or inhibitory, that can summate. If the sum reaches a threshold, it triggers an action potential in the next cell. This raises an interesting question. How do drugs like Viagra actually work?
How does it work?
It inhibits an enzyme that normally breaks down cyclic GMP, which is activated by nitric oxide, a neurotransmitter that promotes vasodilation, the widening of blood vessels. By keeping cGMP levels high, it enhances blood flow.
Interfering with the signal termination.
Precisely.
The brain is the command center of this intricate network. It, along with the spinal cord, forms the central nervous system, or CNS. Nerves and ganglia outside the CNS make up the peripheral nervous system, or PNS.
Central processing and the connections out. Different regions of the vertebrate brain specialize in various functions. The cerebrum is the largest part, responsible for voluntary movement, learning, emotion, memory, perception, higher functions. Its outer layer, the cerebral cortex, is particularly vital.
For the thinking cat.
You could say that. The cerebellum, tucked underneath at the back, primarily coordinates movement and balance, which is why damage here, or temporary impairment, like with alcohol, can affect coordination, like trying to touch your nose with your eyes closed.
The sobriety test connection.
Exactly. Deep within the brain, the diencephalon contains the thalamus, the main relay station sorting sensory input heading to the cerebrum, and the hypothalamus, a tiny but mighty structure. It acts as the body's thermostat, biological clock, regulates hunger, thirst, sex drive, the fight-or-flight response, and controls the pituitary gland, linking nervous and endocrine systems.
A major control hub.
Absolutely. The brainstem connects the cerebrum and spinal cord and controls automatic homeostatic functions like breathing, heart rate, blood pressure, swallowing. Essential life support. Brain activity can even be observed with functional imaging techniques like fMRI, revealing which areas are active during specific tasks.
Watching the brain work.
Yeah. We know sleep isn't just passive rest. It's an active brain state with distinct stages, like REM sleep. Our daily circadian rhythms are regulated by a biological clock in the hypothalamus, the suprachiasmatic nucleus, or SCN, synchronized by light. Emotions involve circuits in the limbic system, including the amygdala and hippocampus, and the brain's reward system provides motivation, but can unfortunately be hijacked by addictive drugs, leading to long-lasting changes in cravings.
Powerful stuff. Diving deeper into the cerebral cortex, its four lobes, frontal, parietal, temporal, occipital, are linked to specific functions like planning, sensory integration, hearing, and vision, respectively. Language and speech, for instance, typically involve specific areas, Broca's and Wernicke's, usually in the left hemisphere.
Lateralization, yeah.
What's truly amazing is neuronal plasticity, the nervous system's ability to reshape itself based on experience. Connections at synapses can be added, lost, strengthened, or weakened, which is the physical basis of learning and memory.
The brain isn't static.
Not at all. The famous, albeit tragic, case of Phineas Gage, whose severe frontal lobe injury drastically changed his personality and decision-making, powerfully illustrates how specific brain regions contribute to who we are.
A classic example. Moving to how animals decode the world, sensory systems all follow a basic path. Sensory reception, detecting a stimulus.
Light, sound, chemicals.
Right. Followed by sensory transduction, converting that stimulus energy into an electrical signal, a receptor potential. Then comes transmission, sending action potentials carrying that signal to the central nervous system, and finally, perception, where the CNS integrates and interprets the information, creating our conscious awareness of the stimulus.
From detection to understanding.
These systems often employ amplification to strengthen weak signals and adaptation, where receptor sensitivity decreases with continuous stimulation, allowing us to focus on changes in our environment. Receptors fall into broad categories based on the stimulus they detect. Mechanoreceptors sense physical deformation, touch, pressure, stretch, sound waves, motion, gravity.
Like the hair cells in our ears.
Exactly. Chemoreceptors detect chemicals for smell, taste, or internal conditions like blood solute concentration. Electromagnetic receptors detect energy like light, vision, electricity, or magnetism in some animals. Thermoreceptors detect heat and cold. And nociceptors, or pain receptors, respond to noxious stimuli that could cause tissue damage.
A whole suite of detectors. In human vision, light enters the eye, is focused by the lens onto the retina at the back. The retina contains photoreceptors rods, which are highly sensitive for dim light vision, and cones, responsible for color vision and visual acuity in brighter light.
Two types for different conditions.
Light triggers a chemical cascade within these photoreceptors that actually leads to hyperpolarization, a decrease in neurotransmitter release. This change signals the bipolar cells, which then signal ganglion cells, whose axons form the optic nerve carrying signals to the brain.
A complex pathway just to see. Color blindness, often an X-linked genetic trait affecting cone pigments, is a fascinating example of how variations in these receptors impact perception. All of this complex processing ultimately translates into action through muscles and skeletons. Muscles generate force only by contracting. They pull, they don't push.
Okay.
The sliding filament model explains how muscle contraction works at the molecular level. Thin filaments, made mainly of actin, and thick filaments, made of myosin, slide past each other. Myosin heads bind to actin, swivel, release, rebind further down, like pulling on a rope, shortening the muscle fiber. This whole process is powered by ATP hydrolysis and critically dependent on the release of calcium ions within the muscle cell.
Calcium is the trigger.
It's the key that unlocks the actin binding sites for myosin. Muscles almost always work in antagonistic pairs. One muscle or group contracts to bend a joint, like the biceps, while the opposing muscle, the triceps, must relax and then contracts to straighten the joint.
Working together by opposing each other.
Precisely. Skeletons provide the framework for muscles to act upon, as well as support and protection. They can be hydrostatic skeletons, fluid held under pressure in a closed compartment, like in earthworms.
A water balloon skeleton?
Sort of.
I see.
Exoskeletons, hard external cuticles like those found in arthropods, insects, crustaceans, which must be shed to grow. Or endoskeletons, internal frameworks of bone and cartilage with joints allowing movement, as in vertebrates like us.
Our internal frame, locomotion, moving around, involves diverse adaptations for different environments. Swimming primarily challenges friction, so adaptations include sleek, fusiform, torpedo-shaped bodies.
Streamlining. Land locomotion battles gravity, requiring strong skeletons and powerful muscles, like a kangaroo's massive legs and tail adapted for energy-efficient hopping. Flying overcomes both gravity and air friction, demanding adaptations like wings, lightweight bodies, and powerful flight muscles.
Different challenges, different solutions. Finally, we arrive at the why, behavioral ecology, which examines both the proximate causation, the immediate mechanisms, the how a behavior occurs,
Like hormones or nerve signals.
and the ultimate causation, the evolutionary reason, the why a behavior occurs in terms of survival and reproduction.
The short-term and long-term explanations. Behaviors can be innate, meaning developmentally fixed, genetically determined, like the fixed action pattern of a gray-legged goose retrieving an egg-like object near its nest, even if the object is removed mid-retrieval.
Hardwired responses.
Or they can be learned, modified by experience. Examples include imprinting, where young animals form strong attachments during a critical sensitive period, like young geese bonding with the first large moving object they see.
Even a human.
Right. Or spatial learning involving cognitive maps, like wasps finding their hidden nests or nutcrackers remembering thousands of seed cache locations. And associative learning, linking one stimulus with another, like a blue jay learning to avoid monarch butterflies after eating one that made it sick.
Learning from experience. The evolution of behavior is fascinating. For instance, research on fruit flies shows how different alleles of a single gene, the forager gene, influence whether larvae tend to roam widely, rovers, or stay put, sitters, with each strategy being favored in different population densities.
Genetics influencing foraging strategy.
Mating systems, monogamous, polygamous, are linked to factors like the certainty of paternity and the needs of the young, often resulting in sexual dimorphism, differences between male and females. Sexual selection, where individuals with certain traits are more likely to obtain mates, can involve female choice or male competition.
Driving evolutionary change. Even complex behaviors can have a relatively simple genetic basis. Studies on voles show variation in a single gene for a vasopressin receptor influences pair bonding behavior and parental care. And in garter snakes, preference for certain prey, like banana slugs, seems genetically determined. Genes and behavior intricately linked. And then there's the intriguing concept of altruism behavior that reduces an individual's own fitness but increases the fitness of others in the population. Seems counterintuitive from a purely selfish gene perspective.
How does that evolve?
It's often explained by inclusive fickle and kin selection. By helping close relatives who share many of your genes, you indirectly help propagate your own genetic legacy. Hamilton's rule quantifies this. Altruism is favored when the benefit to the recipient, weighted by the degree of relatedness, exceeds the cost to the altruist, RBC.
Helping your family helps your genes.
Basically, yes. It helps us understand behaviors like a Belding's ground squirrel, giving an alarm call, risking attracting a predator to itself, but warning its nearby kin. Or the complex social structure of naked mole rat colonies with sterile workers caring for the queen and her offspring.
Amazing social cooperation.
So we've journeyed through the intricate details of how animals are structured, how they regulate themselves internally, how they fuel their bodies, distribute resources, defend against threats, reproduce, perceive their world, and engage in often complex behaviors.
It's truly remarkable how every system we've discussed, from the tiniest ion channel firing in a neuron to the grand strategies of altruism, is interconnected and fine-tuned, all thanks, ultimately, to the relentless process of evolution shaping form and function together.
It really is a symphony of interconnected parts.
This unity of form and function really highlights the incredible adaptability of life on Earth. If we connect this to the bigger picture, this deep dive has given us a foundational understanding of how individual animals operate. This sets the stage perfectly for our next explorations, how these complex organisms interact with each other and their physical environment, which is really the heart of ecology.
Absolutely. And as you reflect on this incredible journey through animal biology, maybe consider this provocative thought. Given the exquisite precision and, frankly, the mind-boggling complexity of these biological systems that have evolved over millions of years, what unprecedented challenges might arise and what novel adaptations might still be required for animals, including ourselves, to thrive in our rapidly changing global environment?
That's a big question to ponder. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive. We hope you're leaving with a clearer map of the animal kingdom's incredible inner workings and maybe a newfound appreciation for the biological symphony playing out all around us and even inside us. Until next time.